Real talk, raw faith, stay unfiltered. Welcome back to Echoes Unfiltered. I'm your host, Sam Stratton. If you're just joining us, this is part 2 of the conversation I had with the broken responder, aka Richard. In the first half, we laid the groundwork. We talked about the weight we carry, the things we don't always say out loud, and what happens when honesty starts to replace avoidance. In this part, we go deeper. We talk about faith, responsibility, and what it means to go deeper, and what it looks like to keep moving forward when the answers aren't clear and the work isn't finished. This is where the conversation gets real practical, real personal, and real honest. If you haven't listened to part 1 yet, I'd recommend starting there. But if you're here now and want to stay with us, rock on. This is Echoes Unfiltered. Real talk, raw faith, stay unfiltered. God bless. Now let's get into it.
Because for the most part, I got waved at with all 5 fingers, instead of night shift with the one finger salute. Yeah. But, day shift, and that was just it. Like, both of my shootings were on day shift.
Really?
I mean, both of them were before 10 o'clock in the morning. They were both at about 9:30 in the morning. The first one, guy called himself in as a man with a weapon. And the second one, we were recovering a stolen Camaro. And the next thing I know, like, my partner yells they're bailing, and I come around the corner thinking it's a foot chase. Instead, I'm watching this Camaro ram the front of a cop car, and I'm like, well, yeah, here we go. Let's, we have to do some different stuff. Day shift was a blast. I loved day shift, but I also got a chance to spend some time and years with those older guys.
Yeah.
You get that mentality from them of, you don't have to write everybody a ticket. You can talk to people, and once I learned how to do that, man, I had even more fun because one of the things I learned was how to talk to folks that are like just strung out on drugs. Dude, I could have some of the craziest conversations with those folks, and it was just, I would ask them, what happened to them, like, hey, did you get in a car crash?
Yeah.
Especially if they're doing a bunch of heroin or fentanyl, most of those folks got hung up in that oxy crash, when they were handing them out like Tic Tacs, and then they took them all away. And those guys are doing fentanyl and heroin because they need the opiates for the pain relief.
Yep.
So most of those folks on the way to jail, I'd be like, dude, what happened to you? And by the time we get to jail, I mean, they're just streaming crocodile tears.
Yeah.
And, I was like, what would you have kids? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, what would you do if your kids were like this? How would you feel about this?
Yeah.
And then, the tears start coming even more. And most of those folks I had great rapport with after that.
Once you can get past the bravado, most of them are really good people.
Yeah. I mean, and that's just it. Like, the thing that, people are like, oh, you're a cop, you got a silver spoon, and, people bullied you. And I got along with everybody in high school for the most part. Never really got into fights with high school. I mean, I grew up poor, so I remember the old tear out food stamps. We couldn't get any of the cool stuff. The only time we got cool cereal was when we went to my grandma and grandpa's house.
Yeah.
Other than that, it was those ghetto grape nuts that you had to dump 3 pounds of
nuts.
The 3 pounds of sugar on them to make them taste somewhat like it's like eating sweetened gravel because it's so chunky. And that, like the powdered milk, you just add water to, beef in a can. It
set you up for Marine chow, though, didn't it?
Oh, God. No, dude, the Marine Corps chow was better than that stuff, than commodities.
I will tell you, when I was in Ramadi, Iraq, the chow there was phenomenal. It was phenomenal.
Some of those... Yeah, I mean, like, when I was stateside, one of the best chow halls I have ever been to is the Marine Corps Chow Hall in 29 Palms. And, of course, I guess when you live in 29 Palms, California, you better have an amazing chow hall.
Yeah.
But, and what freaked me out was, so when I went through the Navy, I went in as a master at arms, like military police, and my A school was in San Antonio at Lackland. Yeah,
on the Air Force base.
Have you ever ate at an Air Force chow hall?
My brother went to Lackland, actually, because he was in the Air Force.
So we're in A school.
There.
But and here's the crazy thing about the Air Force, because it freaked me out, because you always pick up your tray, you leave, and you go drop it off at the scullery, and you walk out and go.
They got waiters?
Air Force chow? Yeah, they do.
What?
You serious? Yes. Dude, so, like, I was in there the one day and I was like, man, I'm kind of hungry. I was like, oh, I want a steak and I want that. And they're like, oh, you could get both. And I was like, are you me? Well, I'm taking both. And then you get through with your dinner and you just get up and leave the table. They have like people that clear off the tables for you. You don't even have to touch your tray. And I was like, man, this is like some fancy living over here on the Air Force base. But yeah, crazy.
If anybody
times.
ever asks me, like, well, you were in the Army, what do you think about blah, blah, I'm like, join the Air Force. Be smart. Join the Air Force.
So, and I talked to like my youngest kid. My youngest kid, thank God, he's super smart. I was like, look, dude, mom wants you to, like, she wanted him to go to school. He wanted to do something with like rocket engineering or something. And I'm like, well, mom wants you to go to Stanford. You know, let's look at Stanford. Let's do all these other things. I was like, I really don't want you joining the military. Not that I don't want you to. I
feel the same way about my kids. I get it.
I was like, I'd prefer you not to join the military.
I'll be proud of you if you do, but I would prefer you did not.
Yes. So my wife and I go on this little deal. My kid's almost 18, and we're at my father-in-law's in Nebraska. And our son calls, and he's like, Mom, I need you to sit down. And I'm like, oh, Christ, here we go. What is going on right now? And he's like, I need you to sign my paperwork. And my wife looked at me and like, you want to talk about like, I thought I like judge, jury, and executioner had just passed sentence. Like she is red. She's like, why are you joining the Navy? Why do you want to join the Navy? And she looks at me and she's like, this is your fault. And I was like, hold on, time out. I told him no. He's not listening to me. I told him don't do it.
Yeah.
And my kid's so smart, so they have to take an advanced placement test to get into the nuclear power field.
I would imagine.
And so he goes to take this test, and he's like, I opened up the book, and I didn't understand the first question. And I said, okay, so what did you do then? He's like, I went to the back of the book, answered that question, and then worked my way to the front. And I was like, what in the world, dude? He's like, it just made sense for me to do that. And he got high enough, so like he got 30,000 to join, and then, you know, like he got in. Like their schooling is like 2 years because he goes through boot camp, and then he was in Charleston, South Carolina for almost 2 years because that's where they have the nuclear power school and their other stuff. And then he went to the fleet. He's on the Ohio class, the one that they carried the big boys.
What's the name of the ship? I only asked because my neighbor's kid is on a ship, and another friend of mine's kid is on the same ship. They're both from the same little town here, but the friend's kid is in the same thing your son is.
Oh, so my kid's on the Rhode Island. He's in Georgia.
Okay.
And here's the crazy thing with that story. The recruiter that got me into the Navy in Nebraska, his oldest son is on my kid's boat.
Really?
They know each other.
Wow.
And it was funny because I'm still friends with my recruiter. I don't hate my recruiter.
If you get one that at least tells you what's going to happen, they're all right.
Yeah. Like, you know, and I was old enough when I went into the Navy that I was like, look, dude, like, let's just be honest, because I'm not some dumb 17-year-old kid you're going to get over.
Right.
Been around the block a few times. But it was funny because I saw his kid, they had a picture of his kid, and his kid's wearing a USS Rhode Island hat. And I'm like, my kid's on the same boat. I was like, your kid's on the Rhode Island? I was like, what crew is he on? Is he on blue crew or gold crew? And he's like, I'm on the gold crew. And I was like, my kid's on the gold crew. And so his kid is a like radar operator or something. And I mean, my kid's down and, you know, messing with the, you know, all the crazy stuff.
Can you hold on one second? I'm so sorry.
Sure, go for it.
I'm getting multiple calls here.
Uh-oh.
What's up? Yeah. I don't know. I'm on a podcast right now. You called me and Amy called me at the same time. I thought something was wrong. Bye. Sorry, it was my brother and a friend of mine both called me, and I'm like, what, is something wrong going on here? But all right.
Oh, no, that's funny. I got a buddy texting me. My old agency just had an OIS today.
Again,
Dude, we have so many of those here. It's crazy.
that is crazy. I mean, to
Yeah.
have as many as you've been talking about is absolutely asinine.
It is. I mean, there's so many things that play in a part of this, with the whole probation, kicking people out of prison early. I mean,
Yep.
most of the folks that we've had OISs with are all, felons on parole, probation, recently released or awaiting trial. Like,
Yeah.
it's insane, man.
For those of you who don't know, and I'm sure you probably figured it out by now, OIS stands for Officer Involved Shooting.
Yeah, officer involved shooting. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. I find myself
uh,
using acronyms all the time, and then I got to remember, oh, maybe they might not know what that is.
I hate some of those videos when everybody just starts talking in 10
Yeah.
code, and I'm like, bro, just stop. Like, first off, everybody has their own unique 10
Yeah.
codes. Like, so, and like when I first started out, like everything was a 10 code. There's a
Hmm.
10 code for freaking everything, and you got to remember like all 100 freaking 10 codes.
Yeah.
And I get to my agency here in Pueblo, and we had like 5 that we used. But pretty much all the criminals know what our 10 codes are
Yeah.
because
Yeah, we didn't use them a lot. I mean, like you said, maybe 5 or 10 that we used on the regular.
yeah.
But other than
Yep,
that, we
yeah,
didn't
but
use them all. One of
we
my
were
first days on the job, one of the dispatchers looked at me and said, "Hey, when you're calling in, if you can't remember the 10 code, just use English." I'm like,
yeah.
well, that makes
Dude,
sense.
we were plain talk for a majority of it, which
Mm.
was so much easier because then you didn't have a bunch of the guys doing, crazy stuff. You knew what they were saying and everything.
Yeah.
But you watch some of these videos and you watch guys doing 10 code, and I'm like, I have no idea what you're saying. This isn't funny.
10-4.
Yeah, 10 more.
Like that was pretty universal.
Yeah, that was pretty universal. Even the truckers are doing it. It must be
Yeah.
something easy.
Yeah.
What got you into doing this?
Well, I tell you what, I had never listened to a podcast in my life,
Me either.
and I hate reading. I'm a good reader, but I don't retain.
Oh, okay.
And in this past year, I've written a book and started a podcast that's doing well for its age.
Yeah.
It's all God, man. I went
Yeah.
through this healing. I went through some trauma when I was a kid, and I talk about it on the podcast. I was molested when I was a kid.
Oh, I'm sorry, man. That's got to be tough.
I thought I dealt with it. I thought I was over it. I thought I was good.
Yeah.
Now I realize that it stole 40 years of my life.
Is that where that came in the one day where you said, I think it was on a TikTok you said, where you said, like
My abuser
can't-
one?
yeah,
Yeah.
the one where you forgive them, you'll see them in heaven, but
But I
as
don't
for
have time
right
for 'em
now,
here.
yes.
That's the one.
Okay. Dude, and I think I commented on that video because I was like, man, to be in that, like, I have an uncle that I refuse to talk to. It's my dad's brother, his oldest brother. Because when my dad died, he was dating this chick, and like she went from sweetest lady in the world to psychotic the minute my dad was gone. And everything was a fight. Like, we lost an unbelievable gun collection that my dad had because somehow everything disappeared. Like all the high things that were valuable stuff, family heirlooms, that all
that sucks.
disappeared. And my uncle he didn't care. Like, he didn't stand up for us. And when he did, it wasn't like there's a line for me with family, and like, you didn't just cross it, you leapt over it. And I haven't really talked to him in 20 years, and
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to cut it off, man, and move on. I mean, that's what I finally decided to do, and the trauma of, and not trying to be gross or explicit.
No,
I mean,
I got
the
you.
sexual aspect of it, even.
Yeah.
I've been married for 17 years, and 17 years of my marriage was good,
Yeah.
but there was something missing, and my wife and I didn't know what it was until I
Yeah.
finally confronted everything and told my wife everything. There
Yeah.
was this release and this freedom. But
Yeah.
until I did all those things, man, I was stuck.
Oh, yeah.
And now this last 6 months has been the greatest of my marriage.
Yeah. So we're kind of getting onto that point right now because, I mean, going through that mental health journey is rough on
Oh, yeah.
any marriage. Like,
Yes.
and
She's been a
and
rock
for
star.
yeah, my wife has been too. And my wife also had her own trauma to deal with. I mean, she had her own childhood trauma that she had to go through. But then, my wife was a 911 dispatch supervisor at the same agency that I worked for. So like my wife has dispatched aid to me before. Like I got T-boned out of the blue at an intersection one day. Like I had a green light, was going through it, and some nurse like smoked me at like 50 miles an hour, T-boned me. So, like my wife has sent rescue to me on the job. My first shooting I was in, thankfully she wasn't there for. My second one, she had ended up leaving the police department and transferred to the fire department. So she runs like their finances and everything else. All right. But my wife got to the point where like she recognized that herself, she needed to get out of it. I mean, and like we were talking about it the other day, I think my wife's dispatched, I think we were talking about, she's been part of 4 or 5 different officer-involved shootings as a dispatcher. Yeah. I mean, she's got her own trauma,
and that's got to feel so helpless when you're a dispatcher because you know what's going on and you're sending help, but you physically can't do any more than that, than send the help.
Yeah, and the other thing is, too, is, like, they never really get any closure. I mean, because, like, once they're disconnected phone and on to the next call, like, those guys are, like, in the dispatch, like, they're just the kings and queens of like hang up and like try to move on. It doesn't. It always sticks with them. And
a lot of respect for dispatchers being able to do what they do.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to be 100% honest because I was that jackwagon that didn't believe dispatchers had it hard for a long time. I was like, not realizing what everybody goes through. Like there was one time my wife tried to talk to me and I was like, you answer phones. It's not like you're out on the street with us. Like seriously. Well, I didn't sleep on the couch, but it was, dude, I tell you what, like I was so far gone when I say like in it, like I just didn't, I was so oblivious to a bunch of things. And it wasn't until, like I had my shootings and had my mental health breakdown that I was like, oh my goodness, like I am so wrong.
Yeah. They may not have the physical aspect that we can get on the job, but they got all the mental aspect.
Oh yeah, they do. I mean, like my wife has listened to people end themselves on the phone with them. Just so, hey, don't let my family find me, and like after finally realizing it, like I apologized to my wife. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like I was such a jerk for all those years. I didn't understand it. I didn't get it. I was oblivious to it. And since then, like in the past, I would say 6 months, like our marriage has gotten better because I don't know, like if you did the same things, but dude, I said no to everything. Like my wife would be like, hey, let's go do something. Nope. No, I don't want to I don't want to go, like I'm always thinking threat matrix in my head. If I go to this event,
your most comfortable place is probably right where you are right now at home.
Oh, it was on my couch in front of my 86-inch television.
Well, I'm saying at home, though. Yes.
Yes, definitely at home.
I used to be a guy that went out all the time, too. And after Iraq and stuff, I'm like, I don't want to be out. I want to be home.
Yep.
I want to sit here.
And we used to do that. I would always tell her no, I don't want to do these things. I mean, my wife was an amazing mother because if I was working or gone, like she was always our boys every weekend. If it wasn't sports, it was something else. Yeah. Like she was gone, taking them, places, doing things with them. My wife's
the same way, man. We have 4 kids, and my oldest is 14. My youngest are 10.
Yeah.
And it is a nonstop runaround, and she is a with them.
Yeah.
And we homeschool.
Oh my goodness, there you go. Yeah, that's a feat in itself. Our youngest wanted to do homeschool for a bit, and we started doing that, and I remember the crying, tears, and anger trying to teach multiplying and dividing decimals that I was like, F this, you're going to public school. Like I can't do this anymore.
What was it? Subtraction with decimals the other day with my 10-year-old. And I blanked out. I'm like, wait a minute, do I borrow from this one because of this one, or do I borrow from that one and make this one a 10? I was like, let me get the calculator. It's been so long since I did a longhand.
you're like, okay, wait a second. I got to take one from this one, drop this, and then add 10 to this
The
one, if I
10 or
remember.
9, I
Yes.
forget.
Yeah, it is so frustrating.
Hmm.
Yeah, and every now and then when those homeschool videos pop up, I send them to our youngest. I was like, "You remember this?" Like, there was that one video. It was like the dad has 5 apples, and his
I saw
like
that one.
friend has 3 apples. How many apples do they have together? And the kid's like, "Well, I don't know." And he's like, he has 5 apples. Like, you hear the dad
Yes.
screaming, and I'm like, I send it to our youngest, and I was like, do you remember these days? And
Hmm.
he's like, I try to forget those days.
Oh,
But yeah,
yeah.
no, man, it's been a heck of a ride, and I'm not even a full year retired. I
Yeah.
actually just got retired. Uh, well, February 28th of this year was when I got retired. Um, had I've kind of been at that point where I'm like, well, do I want a part-time job? Do I want to do anything? I still have to finish up my college degree because after my first shooting, I was like, you know what? I think it's time I get back to school.
Hmm.
And so I transferred into Arizona State basically as a senior. And then started working on some school stuff. And then my second one happened, and then depression happened. And then, like I screwed up basically a year and a half of school, was withdrawn from classes. I had to go through a huge, like compassionate withdrawal deal with Arizona State. And thankfully they were understanding. I mean, like, I think it was the first one they'd ever, like, they were like, well, we really don't know. And I was like, I seriously got medically retired from work. I have mountains of paperwork I can send you. And they were
Hmm.
like, and it was funny because, until I sent them the paperwork that I have, medically retired, the incidents that I went through, like the DA, the district attorney letters, clearing me of it.
Right.
Um, like I sent them all of that paperwork, and then like it was instantly I got the compassionate withdrawal. So I'm starting classes back up again, but I don't want to do criminal justice. I'm not going back into anything law enforcement related because
Been there, done that.
that voids my retirement. So I was like, what degree can I get with, I don't, not necessarily a huge amount of effort and get done with it? And they're like, oh, liberal studies. So I was like, sweet. I have 30 hours to go and I can graduate, and I may look at finally doing something. But, like right now, I've just been trying to, it's hard to find folks that sometimes want to talk about their
Yeah.
experiences. Because I was like, man, there's got to be a bunch of people, So
And I
when
was
I
going to ask
started
you about that. How did you end up so quickly jumping into trying to help other people?
so for me, I kind of had this awakening moment too at the kind of as I started to come out of the depression, and I was like, man, for me, I mean, with working here in Pueblo, I know, one, two, three. There's at least 4 of the guys that have also been medically retired
Hmm.
due to PTSD, other things, and I was like, I remember talking to those guys and the crap that they went through during their retirements.
Yeah.
HR doesn't tell you anything unless they're absolutely forced to, or you get an attorney and then force them to tell you what you have available. Um, you know, and just how lonely it is because the Blue Line family wasn't there. Because as soon as you're out on a mental health deal, you're basically like on the island all by yourself.
Yeah.
And that's where, like my buddy that got shot right after I retired, that dude has, all 3 of those guys have amazing support systems. The department's helping them out, they're doing stuff. But if you're out on mental health, dude, I was on a lonely island all by myself, with a few friends to help me out, and kind of make it, you know, somewhat not endurable, but, enduring, able to go through it all. Um, and I had that moment where I was like, I know there's other people out there that have gone through this that are struggling just like I did.
Yep.
And I don't want somebody else to have to feel like this. So I started making, at first, I was doing the podcast, I'd put myself out there on Facebook. I did like a post in Blue Lives Matter, Colorado, talked to a few other friends. I had talked to, some folks. And then, I still have like 6 people that want to do an interview. Like they talk about it, but nobody ever really wants to do it.
Nobody follows through.
They,
I did.
yeah. Well, no, yeah, you did. And I think part of that is they have to be in a spot in their healing journey where they're comfortable in talking to you about it. And a lot of people want to do it, but a lot of people aren't comfortable wanting to open up and basically bare their soul.
And you know as well as I do that it's not easy to come out and say I have mental health issues because it comes with a stigma.
Oh yeah.
And I believe the same thing. People are like, you have mental health issues, you're on mental health medication. What? But now I get it.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, so there's that, and then I live in Colorado, so I do some other things. But that stuff has been absolutely. Dare Class was a liar.
Yeah.
I'll just put it to you that way.
I was on hydrocodone for 10 years through the VA.
Ooh.
10 years.
Holy.
Through the VA.
Holy.
And I never abused it because I knew the trouble opioid.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoyed it. I liked it.
Yeah.
It kept me out of pain. It kept me going. And in Wisconsin, weed isn't legal. But the Delta stuff is legal.
Oh, yeah, the Delta 9. Dude, some of that Delta 9 is wow.
Ooh, yeah. So I talked to my doctor, and I'm like, hey, I don't want to be on hydrocodone anymore. I've been taking it long enough. In your opinion, is THC or Delta a good alternative? They said, off the record, absolutely.
Dude, yeah.
So
I tell you what, and that's
taking that.
That's the other thing. That's the other thing that is another burr in my saddle. I don't talk about it a bunch. I do every now and then, but I absolutely love edibles. I do edibles. I went and I got my medical card here in Colorado. You renew it every year, but it's like all the best feelings of being drunk sometimes. Well, it is, but
with clarity.
Yeah, but with clarity, dude, I know hands down, I'm not going to drive, or go anywhere because I'm not dumb. But I can sit down and do things. It also, helps me relax because I only do it in the evening time.
Yeah, same with me.
Before I get ready to go to bed. Because if I don't take something like that, I'm going to have to take a bunch of other drugs, prescription ones that I don't want to take, that make me feel like crap, that mess up my sleep, and I can take a gummy, at
say goodnight.
4:30 in the afternoon, cruise it out for a few hours, have a great time, great conversations with my wife.
I find that I want to go outside and throw the ball with the kids because I'm not hurting like I normally do. I want to go do things. You know what? Not to air my family business, but everybody has kids. They understand this. My daughter was having a complete meltdown the other day, and it was bad.
Oh, yeah.
And I talked to her like this for like 15 minutes, never raised my voice, never got it. And I wasn't even angry. I'm like, she is totally disrespecting me and being a brat. And my wife came down, she's like, how are you that calm? And I said, that will help.
Yeah. My wife makes fun of me because she's like, in 28 years, she's like, I never thought you would have ever done anything like that.
So I was the same way.
And, it's so funny because now my wife's like, I love it, because I'm relaxed. I have conversations with her. My wife is very nerdy. She's going back to school for her master's through Oklahoma in museum studies because she wants to either run a museum. She loves history, so run a museum or teach history because our long-term goal here in the next 5 years is we're leaving out of Colorado because it's getting too crazy. And we're moving to the East Coast because our oldest is in Kentucky, our youngest is in Florida, and it basically kind of puts us halfway between them, and we love like that Charleston area.
Yeah.
Because I'm a beach kid. I've got to be near water. I'm not a big fan of the mountains.
Yeah.
And
Got those in
so
spades in Colorado.
yeah, right.
Mountains.
Yeah, we've got a few of them. I mean, like I can go out my back porch and I can look from Pikes Peak and follow Pikes Peak and the mountain line all the way down to New Mexico.
Wow.
And
It's
the
beautiful.
crazy thing, the crazy thing nobody tells you about living as close to the mountains as we do is, dude, all the crappy weather blows over us for the most part.
Oh, I suppose.
So it's kind of cool, especially in the wintertime. I mean, like Colorado Springs will get pounded with
Mm.
snow, and we're like 50, 60 degrees. I mean, it's we're a high mountain desert climate. It
Yeah.
gets chilly every now and then, but man, like I think it's like 50, 55 degrees out right now here.
Yeah, we got a heat wave in Wisconsin right now. It's going to get to 40 today.
Oh,
Yeah, it was last week was like 7 below, and yeah, it was nasty.
yeah, that seems miserable. But yeah, so sorry, I guess we got off topic. But yeah, back to the
But that's a great
well,
thing. We can talk about whatever we want to.
yeah, I got off topic there for a second. No, dude, I didn't want anybody to go through what I went through, to feel the way that I did, and I knew that I needed to make a change. And so I started trying to talk to folks, through the podcast. I interviewed a psych nurse NP who has her own practice up in the Denver metro area. Her husband's a first responder. She was a ER nurse, flight nurse. And then, she starts, treating first responders, which was where I first learned about ketamine therapy. If you haven't learned about ketamine
I haven't.
therapy, oh man, that's amazing. So in this interview, we started talking about, like she works with alcoholics, first responders that have alcohol issues, and ketamine is the way to go. So ketamine is a dissociative anesthetic. So like, let's say for example, you walk into the ER and your ankle is, 90 degrees, where not where it should be. And they give you ketamine because it disassociates your mind from the pain of your ankle.
That's stuff they
So
shoot
when
in
they
your
pop,
nose.
uh, I had never seen it done nasally. That might be Narcan. They do nasally.
That was my
Ketamine
son
is.
when he hurt himself, and when he was little, and they had to do some stuff to his thumb to sew it up.
Oh,
They
they
shoved
might.
stuff up his nose, and he was still screaming. But after it was done, he remembered none of it.
Oh, that might be another different one,
Yeah,
dissociative
I
or
don't know what it
something.
was. Anyway,
But
sorry. Go ahead.
no, you're fine. So yeah, they in talking to her, we were talking about trauma and everything else, and counseling method or different methods, because I did EMDR in my therapy, which worked good. And she's like, ketamine therapy is even better, and maybe even for something like you and that childhood trauma may work if you can find somebody in Wisconsin that does ketamine therapy.
I'll look into
But
that.
it basically they so you sit down and I think it takes 6 to 8 sessions is normally like the run of it is, and you're pretty much done after 6 to 8 sessions. But you sit down and they give you a very specific dose of ketamine based off your weight and everything else. And I think it's either headphones or some kind of stuff that you listen to. And basically as you do it, it basically goes through and it helps open new neural pathways, but then it basically takes all of that trauma and like you just shed it. And so like in talking to her, and I'll have to see, I think it's a clip, and if I didn't do it yet, I'll have to look. It might be on my TikTok. If not, it's on my YouTube page with Karen is her name.
Okay.
And she basically, she talks about how they go through an alcoholism. It's like an instant cure for alcoholism.
Really?
Because yeah, basically
Well, I guess
what it
you're
does,
rewiring the neural pathways. It makes sense.
yeah, you're rewiring these neural pathways, and it basically the way that it does it, it basically like tricks your mind into making alcohols like absolutely disgusting to you. But ketamine therapy is like the way to go for trauma now.
I'm gonna write that down because my memory is good, but it's short.
Right? Yeah, ketamine therapy. Let's see if I can get back into my old law enforcement days. Ketamine. Dude, you remember trying to sit there, you're like typing a report and you're like drug paraphernalia.
But yeah, paraphrase.
P-A-R.
When did they change the spelling of that?
Common spelling.
Yeah.
Or you're trying to spell out methamphetamines.
Yeah. Meth.
But, yeah, right? But, that ketamine therapy is supposed to do amazing things for
That sounds
helping
like it.
folks, especially for, alcohol, narcotics abuse, to basically help them to not want to do that at all. And it's, from what I've seen, one of the better things compared to any of the other stuff. So I just didn't want anybody to have to feel that way, because it was so lonely.
Yeah.
And I mean, most of the folks, I only talked to 3 people really with my department. I mean, we were a 230 man department. I mean, dude, like when I got medically retired, I hadn't been to the department in over 9 months. I walked into the agency, went upstairs to the 3rd floor to basically get my checkout sheet from the, not the secretary, but the lady that for the agency civilian that ran it.
HR
And as
lady
I'm,
or
yeah, like, well, she wasn't HR. She was like one of the deputy chief secretaries or
okay.
something. Like, we had to, they give you so many patches, but we could buy patches, for selling, trading, stuff like that. And you would have to go buy patches from her, the department, coins we had to go get from this lady. And so I get my sheet. One of the deputy chiefs comes out and he looks at me and he goes, "How's your wife doing?" And I said, "What do you mean, how's my wife doing? Like, I haven't been here in 9 months. Like," he goes, "Well, we knew how you were doing." I said, "No, you didn't, because none of you called me the entire time I was off."
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, it just made me mad. I cleaned out my locker. I took all my stuff upstairs, turned it in, and I got my retirement plaque from the same secretary. The chief couldn't even come out of his office to give it to me. Couldn't even like shake my hand for 2 seconds. "Hey, sorry we put you through so much, stuff." That I got it from a secretary. And
That's
then
disheartening.
yeah, right. And then when my buddy died, or not buddy died, sorry, my other buddy got shot, the one that got shot shortly after I retired. I went up to the ICU at the hospital to go see him, and one of our other deputy chiefs walks in, and I'm sitting between a couple cops. He acknowledges the one on the end, doesn't acknowledge me, acknowledges the other cop on the end. And this was the same deputy chief that his entire time growing up, when I was a baby cop, was like, "We're a family. We're in this together. You need anything, we got it." And I, when I started going through my stuff, he's like, "We're not a family. We're a team. Sometimes you got to get rid of teammates." And I was like,
Wow.
"Wow, you're a dick." And so I got completely ignored at the hospital.
Yeah.
My buddy's wife comes in. I mean, he's in and out of it because, he had 2 crazy surgeries. And this same deputy chief goes up and hugs his wife. And he's like, "Well, we're a family. Like, you guys need something, you need some help, like, you call me." And I'm like, "You slimy dirtball. Like, I am right here."
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like, people, I mean, for the folks that actually get hurt on the job, I'm sure it's great for them. But the folks that go out on mental health injuries, like, you're just a bastard child to the department is what you are.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I had one of the there was a follower I have on TikTok messaged me one day just to talk. And I'm not above not having conversations with folks that follow you or anything else. I'll get on there and message them back, have a conversation. And this poor guy was like, he goes, he's like, "I'm a volunteer firefighter." And he's like, "I just didn't realize, how much it had consumed of me until we went there one day." And he's like, "My 5-year-old daughter hated going to the fire department." And he's like, "I didn't understand it. I didn't realize it. It made me mad." And he's like, he's like, "Since I haven't been there in a while, nobody talks to me. They avoid me." And he's like, "I don't know how to tell my wife." And I said, "Buddy, your wife already knows. Like, your wife already knows. My wife told me, like, 5+ years ago to get out of law enforcement. And I told her she was dumb and stupid. And why would I do that? Because I'm having a blast.
Yeah.
I don't want to work an office job Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. I want to get out and I want to do things and all this other stuff. I mean, I've since apologized to my wife because she's not dumb and stupid. She's very intelligent. She's very patient because she put up with my nonsense. But, like, I told this guy, I said, your wife already knows.
Yeah.
Dude, your wife already knows. If you're already, like, it's affecting you and you're just now starting to see it, your wife
saw it a long time ago.
Yeah, she's seen it, like the paint, the writing on the wall. You just need to go talk to her. Absolutely. And I said, if she's still with you right now through this, I mean, it's not like she's going anywhere.
Yeah.
But you need to be open and honest and tell her what you're going through, because I guarantee you she's going to be supportive of you.
And we get right back to the whole crux of the problem. Open up.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
Yeah. Yes. And I was like, he's like, man, he's like, I didn't think creators, like, some people just don't get on and talk to people. And I'm like, bro, I'm a normal dude, man. Yep. I'm not anything cool. I put my pants on one leg at a time like everybody else. Like, it just so happened, like, the night that we did it, or that I was talking to this guy, was a night that my wife came home and she's like, hey, the Air Force Academy band's putting on a free Christmas special downtown at the, our City Hall, Memorial Hall. It's like a big concert venue. She's like, do you want to go? And I was like, before I would have instantly said, no, absolutely not. And I was like, man, why not? Let's go have fun. And it was one of the best experiences I'd had in a while, to kind of help get in that Christmas mood, and everything. And it was fun to go see and experience. And I had a blast, and I'm, kind of at the same time talking to this guy. I don't know. I think, for me, just talking to folks also it's like healing for me too, because I'm looking at some of these guys and I'm like, man, I've been in your shoes. Like, I know where you're at. I don't know your specific situation, but I know what you're going through, and it sucks. And I'm telling you, you gotta keep pushing. You gotta keep going to therapy. You gotta keep, all these things. The people that are supportive and positive around you, those are the folks you need to keep in your life.
Yep.
Because the negative folks, like, I deleted all of the cops pretty much that I had in my phone book. All the coworkers, the ones that never called me, the ones that never checked in on me, the ones that didn't do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I deleted them all. As soon as, like, I was retired, I was like, why do I have these numbers? Nobody calls me. Nobody texts me. Nobody sees how I'm doing. And so I deleted all their numbers. And my wife's like, why did you do that? I said, because if they couldn't call me when I was struggling, why am I going to let them, talk to them while I'm winning? Yeah. That's just it. So they're gone. And, for me, it was kind of getting back into the, biblical religious aspect of it, dealing with what I dealt with. I was like, I'm going to give them the grace that they never gave to me. I'm just going to, yes, I'm sure, my wife explained, she's like, well, they've also got trauma that they're going on, with too, which is absolutely 100% true.
Yes.
But at the same time, I'm not even at the agency, and there are guys that are struggling with mental health or guys that are in shootings. You know what I'm doing? I'm one of the guys that I'll still, if I have their number or some person I like, I'll text them or check on them. I've got, one of my, the guys I used to work with here, him and I weren't close. He's dealing with mental health stuff. The department's treating him like garbage. And I'm the dude that, will reach out, make sure he's doing okay. Guys are talking to him about being medically retired. So I was like, hey man, if you're getting to medically retire, these are the things that you need to do. These are the documents that you need to already start collecting, signatures you already need to start doing.
Conversations you wish somebody would have had with you.
Yeah. And thankfully, I had a few of those guys that had been medically retired before me that were giving me, those pointers and everything else. And I was like, I have to pass this on. I just can't hold to myself and be like, screw you,
Mine was slightly different being medically retired through the police force because I didn't claim it was on the job. I
Oh,
claimed it was
okay.
Iraq, which it was.
Oh, okay.
Not like I was
Yeah.
making things up, but Iraq had a lot to do with it. I think it was exacerbated by the police work.
Oh, yeah,
But
definitely.
getting blown up twice in Iraq and going through the things I went through there, I'm sure that had a
Yeah.
lot to do with it. So it was retiring for me was a little easy. Waiting nine
Yeah.
months to get a paycheck after that, that was a little hard.
Oh, yeah.
Luckily, I was vested in my
My,
pension.
yeah. So mine was a little bit different. I mean, I was vested in my pension. And so mine basically, I mean, I had to, I think I did it on TikTok one day. I showed like my paperwork, like it's like 8 inches
Mm,
thick, like a huge folder. Um, so like for me, it started off as filing a workman's comp claim and then going through the workman's comp claim. What they don't tell you is you have basically a year from the date of injury so for me, like I was late on filing my workman's comp claim because I should have filed it like the day after my second shooting, and I
yeah.
didn't. I waited 5 months because I knew I wasn't mentally ready to do it. So
Okay.
then when I filed my workman's comp claim, I only had like 7 months to get everything together before, because they only give you a year from the date of incident to the date you're supposed to be healed and 100% back at work.
Okay.
So for me, like I start going through all my process and they're like, you're not going back to this. Absolutely not. So they ended up, going through workman's comp. I get the max medical improvement rating. Of course, you're not going back to law enforcement. I mean, you can, but you're basically going to end up right back here
Yeah.
because, my wife and I even talked, I go back to work. What's the chances of me having a third shooting? And
Sounds like
those
pretty good.
chances are pretty high here, so I was like, it takes a little bit to kind of be like, okay, I'm gonna get medically retired, I'm not gonna do this anymore.
Yeah.
And from there, um once I get my all my stuff done with workman's comp, as workman's comp is ending, I get my max medical improvement paperwork. Then I basically fill out this packet for our retirement is through the Fire and Police Protection Agency, is who does Colorado.
Okay.
Is basically managed by Fidelity. So for me, like I had to get all the doctor's paperwork. I had to have all the notes from workman's comp. I had to have notes signed by basically all the medical personnel that I talked to, their recommendations. And then once I got all that done, I sent it in, submitted it, they reviewed it, and then I had to talk to 3 other independent psychiatrists of theirs. So I had to do another like 3 independent psych evals in a couple weeks, and then it goes to like a board vote. And like it was actually, because I was almost up at the end of my time, like burning all of my time. So I had gone past the 7 months, and now I was burning my own sick time, vacation time, and everything until the process finished. And I was at the very last point of, it was either they were going to retire me or I was going to have to do like some long-term disability or something until the process finished up.
Okay.
And thankfully, they got me medically retired like at the earliest moment that I could. And so now, like my paychecks are a lot different, but my paychecks are 50% of my base pay tax free for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's the same thing as mine. And 50% of my base pay is almost what I was making when I was there because
Yeah, pretty
taxes
much.
aren't coming out.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, and that's been nice. And then I have my VA on top of it,
Yep.
So I'm sitting pretty comfortable,
I'm making more money, and I'm not trying to brag about this. And I probably won't even
Yeah,
put it
no.
on the podcast, but I'm making more money now than I did when I was working
Oh yeah, I make more money tax
because
free now than I ever did
I'm
working.
100% service connected.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you're
Yeah.
doing good.
So
Yeah.
that's a good paycheck every month.
Yep.
Plus,
Yeah, it is.
50% of my base pay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
at
doing all right.
90% right now, and still trying to work on that elusive 100. I've still
Oh,
got
well,
claims going, but
I'm at 90, but I got approved for unemployability.
oh, okay, there you
So if
go.
you can do that through the VA, I had to hire some attorney out of California to make that happen. But
I ended
anyways,
up I hired a law firm to fight mine too, to get me, they took me from, that initial 10% on the hearing to 90%.
yeah,
And I've been pretty impressed with the attorneys that I hired. So,
yeah. Hey, I got another interview coming up here in a few minutes, so I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to cut this one. But I would love to have another one of these, you and I talking. I really enjoyed
Heck
this.
yeah. Yeah.
Before
You
we
I
get
was
off,
thinking
why don't you just quick tell my listeners where they can find you?
so I am on YouTube on the Broken Responder. I'm also on TikTok as the Broken Responder, Spotify as the Broken Responder, and I've been working with Rumble. I've got a few episodes on there. I haven't really done anything with Rumble, but those are YouTube, Spotify, and I'm also on Facebook. I don't do many videos. If you want to see me on a daily basis, the best place to get in touch with me is on TikTok
Yep.
because I do daily videos.
And there you'll learn he
Uh,
loves coffee.
yeah, dude,
I do
and
too.
that's just it. That was one of those things like trying to figure out like how to do like an intro in the morning, and I was like, you know what, fuck this, good morning internet. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, because it's going forever,
Yeah.
and it's better drinking coffee first thing in the morning than some of the other monsters and Red Bulls. Because, I appreciate it, Sam. I
Hey,
hope you guys have a great day. Merry Christmas, Happy
Merry
New Year,
Christmas.
and yeah, we'll have to get on here and do another one of these again.
Richard, thank you for what you're doing, man. When I got on and I found you and I started looking at some of your videos and seeing what you were all about, I'm like, this guy's me. We, we got the
Well, I
same story. Well, I mean, a lot of
Awesome. I
similar
appreciate it,
stories.
Sam.
So
Yeah,
take care, Richard.
right.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one. Take care. Bye.
Bye bye. Richard, I want to thank you for staying in this conversation and not backing away from the hard parts of it. A lot of people can talk when things remain theoretical. Not many are willing to have that conversation when it turns inwards, when it touches faith, responsibility, and the parts of life that don't have easy answers. What stands out to me is growth doesn't come from pretending that our past didn't shape us. It comes from deciding what we do with it now. From choosing honesty over avoidance, presence over distraction, and humility over image. If you're listening to this and something with Richard's story sounded familiar, I want you to know something. You're not late, you're not behind, and you're not failing because you're still working through things. Real change takes time, and it starts with being able to face what's real and not running from it. Richard, again, I appreciate your courage, your perspective, and your willingness to walk through the openness with integrity. This conversation matters, and I know it's going to land where it needs to land. To everyone listening, thank you for staying with us through part 1 and part 2 of Richard's story. If something here stirred something in you, don't ignore it. Sit with it. Talk about it. Pray about it. Let it move you towards something better. This is Echoes Unfiltered. Real talk, raw faith, stay unfiltered, and God bless.